Example 4 takes us full circle from where we started when we started with those two machines and we broke machine B and then had to buy the new machine that was both of them combined. What that's doing is saying what would be the equation that would do both of these things at once. So f of g of x, if we bring it back to how we started, if I had a machine that was g of x, which is 2x plus 7, and then a machine which is f of x, which is 2x squared plus 1. So anything you put into the blue machine, it gets doubled and you add 7. Anything you put into the green machine, it gets squared, multiplied by 2, and then you add 1. So question 4 is asking, what would be the machine and what would be the equation in there that would do both of them? And the idea is as follows. Well, when we're trying to find out the equation is what happens when you plug in x. Right? In the blue function, you plug in x, you get 2x plus 7. So if we plugged in x here, out would come 2x plus 7. And then the idea is you have to plug 2x plus 7 into the green machine. Well, what does the green machine do? Whatever you put in gets squared, then gets doubled, then you add 1. So if I put in a 2x plus 7, that 2x plus 7 would get squared, it would get doubled, and then you would add 1. And that would be the equation that would be the machine that would do everything at once. Now, we're not going to draw these machines every time. How are we going to show this algebraically? So in A, we have f of g of x. And again, we always start on the inside. And since it's g of x, we can just say, well, what is g of x? It's 2x plus 7. And then since f of x is 2x squared plus 1, and the idea is whatever you put in for x goes there. So even if we're putting in more x's, and in this case we're going to plug in a 2x plus 1, this part goes in right here, it gets squared, plus 1. And depending on how your answer key is written, you might have to square this out and simplify this. I'm going to leave it like this for now. So part B. It's just more of the same. This time it's g of f of x. So g of f of x, well, we know that f of x was 2x squared plus 1, so we can replace the f of x with 2x squared plus 1. Then off to the side here, I'm going to remind myself, what's g of x? G of x is equal to 2x plus 7. So again, this idea, whatever you throw into g of x, it gets multiplied by 2, and then you add 7. That's what the function or the machine g of x does. So if you throw in a 2x squared plus 1, okay? If you throw in a 2x squared plus 1, you get 2 times 2x squared plus 1 plus 7. This one I'm going to distribute, so I'll get 4x squared plus 2 plus 7 will be 4x squared plus 9. And finally, in part C, we have g of x So g of x is 2x plus 7. And if we plug a 2x plus 7 into g of x, remember g of x is 2x plus 7. So whatever we plug in for x, it gets multiplied by 2, and then you add 7. So if you plug in 2x plus 7, that 2x plus 7 would get multiplied by 2 plus 7. 4x plus 14 plus 7, 4x plus 21. Questions for practice are 10 and 11.